So sorry.
Welcome to this episode of Fast and Lightspeed Podcast, where we discuss all our science fiction, fantasy, comics, and world-building passions. I'm your Captain Kenny with my executive officer, Joey. Welcome to the Fast and Lightspeed Podcast.
You didn't even let me say my name.
No, we're not doing that anymore, because you're always like,
I tried
Joey!
I tried to say a bit.
Yeah, it's never good. It's never good, so I'm just going to say it now.
I remember.
Just to get us going.
I remember, I don't remember if it was at school or somewhere. I remember when we had to go around the class and say our names. And I remember I said my name was Obi-Wan Kenobi.
What?
I definitely told you this before.
Well, that's very on topic for today's episode. Where we have just watched the final episode, part 6 of Obi-Wan Kenobi on Disney Plus. And that's what we're going to be talking about today.
Yep, which is why I thought of it. I haven't thought about that.
That's our thing today.
Yeah.
You're hitting the table, and the mic's picking it up. But that's our topic for today. We're going to be talking about the characters and how it fits into the larger Star Wars universe, right?
Does it break canon?
Does it break canon? Yeah, we'll talk about that. We'll talk about how it adds to canon. I think it kind of adds to canon in cool ways.
I want to do a spoiler and non-spoiler segment for this one.
No, we're not doing that.
Okay, we're just going straight.
We're just going into it. Nobody's gonna listen to this anyways if they haven't watched it.
No, people would want. I think people are gonna listen to it.
People don't listen to it in the first place. So.
Whoa! Don't say that. Look, they're gonna come back.
We all have. This is for us.
Our future viewers are gonna come back in. Our future listeners. You can't say viewers. This is not a video podcast. Our future listeners, they're going to come back. It's like, Obi-Wan Kenobi, I remember loving that show. And then they're going to listen to our opinions on it.
Okay.
In like 5 years, after when we go big.
When we go big, oh my gosh. By that point, it's going to be a solo podcast.
Just me?
No, meaning we only talk about Solo, a Star Wars story.
Oh, that would be so cool.
That's all we talk about.
So does Skier show up in this show? Because I was wrong about that in the Book of Boba Fett.
Do we have anything we want to talk about before we get to the review? Because we skipped a week or two.
E3?
Did we not talk?
We didn't.
Oh, E3 was around. Not much happened.
Stuff was shown. Starfield looks great.
Not great.
What you say it doesn't look great.
Mediocre.
It looks amazing.
Medium. It's a medium.
I was in awe of that game for like the entire week. Just that's all I could think about.
Awe?
In awe.
I don't know how I can be in awe.
I loved it.
It's not. It didn't look groundbreaking enough.
Oh, it looked great. I just need to see more. I need to get my hands on it.
Looked like No Man's Sky. If No Man's Sky was Fallout.
The best. That's all I asked for. That's literally all I wanted.
Which I would argue that's not very creative.
I would say if you really want that, The Outer Worlds is more what you're talking about, because that's more wacky sci-fi. That's like Firefly meets Fallout, though.
Yeah, I don't know. What was I? Well, what do you mean? No, I'm talking about like gameplay-wise, though.
Oh, no, that still looks good. It looks like a slight improvement also off of Fallout 4.
No, I'm talking about Outer Worlds gameplay sucks.
Oh. It could be better, yeah. But I have a... What was I going to say? I had some sort of thing I had against you.
Oh my gosh. We haven't watched Jurassic World Dominion. We didn't watch that.
Just wait. What was I going to say?
What are you going to say?
What was I going to say?
Dude, well, we gotta move on.
No.
Think about it later.
No, we can't. I had a... No.
We have to move on.
No. You say that... Oh my gosh, what was I gonna say?
What? Spit it out.
I don't remember. We'll
come
back. We'll circle back. We got an hour.
We probably haven't circling back.
Yes, we are.
So, should we just get into Obi-Wan? I'm trying to think of anything else. Yeah, we'll just get into Obi-Wan right away.
Pentiment looked great. No, Avowed.
Huh?
What?
You're still in E3.
I am.
E3 is too long ago.
That's not...
So, Obi-Wan. So, Ewan McGregor's back. He's playing Obi-Wan Kenobi. There are some Inquisitors. Yeah, he's back. He's Obi-Wan Kenobi. There are people out there. There's an Inquisitor out there that's like, I want to find Obi-Wan. I'm gonna do anything to get him to come out of hiding. So what does she do? What would you do to get Obi-Wan out of hiding?
I would send probe droids, I guess.
Wow. Well, she kidnaps Princess Leia. Should we start with that?
Yes.
I went into this show not sure how I would believe Obi-Wan would come out of hiding from protecting Luke, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they convinced me with that.
Mm-hmm. I've said this for a while, is that I think it's going to be a Princess Leia thing.
Yeah. I don't remember you ever saying that. I think you're lying.
No, I definitely talked about
no,
it.
You never
I must have been
said
at
that.
school. I must have been at school.
You
and saying it
never
to my
said
friends
that. Never said that. So there's a few main characters, which is Obi-Wan, obviously. There's Reva, who is out to find Obi-Wan as part of her plans. And then there's really Leia's in there, is like your other main character, right? Who is just kidnapped. The actress they had for Leia was pretty good for a kid actor, right? As when compared to Anakin, I think a lot better in Phantom Menace.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that whole thing really, when Bail Organa calls up Obi-Wan's like, hey, can you find Leia? I was meant to protect her, but I guess you gotta do double duty now. He's like, I don't know. I'm kind of out of practice. It was kind of interesting.
Mm-hmm. Don't you just love Obi-Wan Kenobi packaging meat? That's just his job.
Right. What was that from? Was that from a crate dragon? Maybe?
No idea.
You're no help. You don't know anything.
What do you mean?
You're
They
just
can't just
no
kill
help.
a crate dragon, Kenny.
What do you mean? They did. Mando did it.
Mando did it. Yes, he did.
So there you go.
I don't think it's an easy feat, though.
I don't know.
It was from that one forearm thing that Boba Fett kills.
Wow. Where was I? We were talking about Leia being kidnapped.
Mm-hmm.
Obi-Wan's, I'm out of practice. This is not... This Obi-Wan, he's not at Alec Guinness Obi-Wan, is he?
What do you mean?
Like, in terms of power level, right?
Is that supposed to be like he's stronger than or weaker
No.
than?
Alec Guinness is like peak Obi-Wan.
Theoretically, yeah.
Yeah. He's the one... Alec Guinness, I count Alec Guinness Obi-Wan as also Rebels Obi-Wan, right? He has, like, the Alec Guinness design, obviously, where he kills Maul in, like, 3 moves.
Mm-hmm.
You were, like, not saying anything in this podcast, dude. I'm gonna need you to say more.
I never say anything.
I
in
feel
this
like I'm
podcast.
just lecturing to you. What?
Like, I don't know what you want me to say. Obi-Wan
Say,
Kenobi.
like, yes, I agree. And I like this blank, this blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, that's this podcast.
Oh, my gosh.
Welcome to the podcast. What episode number are we on? This is it.
30. This is 30.
This is 30. Well, welcome to episode number 30. This is how things get run.
Oh, my gosh. I should just do this by myself.
No, this is why it's a solo podcast.
This is why it's a solo podcast. Captain's Log. That's what it should be called, maybe.
Captain's Log. That's a spin-off.
Where was I? So Leia gets kidnapped. I don't know how Reva decides to kidnap Leia is going to draw out to Obi-Wan.
I think they said it because Bail Organa and Obi-Wan Kenobi used to fight with each other in the Clone Wars. So obviously they're friends.
There might have been one Clone Wars episode when they interacted. I don't remember them ever interacting outside of that.
Well, that they also say that in A New Hope, is that they also fought together in the Clone Wars. Remember Princess Leia's message where it's like, you and my father fought with each other in the Clone Wars.
That's not what she said.
It is.
Not that they fought together. He didn't fight.
What?
It's that you served my father in the Clone Wars.
Maybe that was it.
You don't know anything.
Either way, the rule applies. He served his father during the Clone Wars.
There was one episode. Do you remember the episode? And I don't even know if Obi-Wan was there. Oh, he might have been. It was the stealth ship episode.
Oh,
when they were trying to get supplies down to Christophsis.
Oh.
Right?
Oh, is it the Canon Miles episode?
Yeah, it's that episode, yeah. Because they're trying to get... Because that's like before the movie. Before the Clone Wars movie. And they're trying to run supplies through the blockade to help the locals that are fending off.
I remember it.
And I think Bail Organa was on the planet, if I remember correctly. Mm-hmm. And that was a part of what... Because that was what Anakin was supposed to do. Use that stealth ship for, was to just ferry stuff down. Mm-hmm. Instead, he's like, I'm going to destroy Admiral Trench right now. I'm going to do a bit of that. And that went all right.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember if Obi-Wan was even in that episode. He might have been on like a cruiser. Maybe. Was he? Or was it Yularen?
I think you're going crazy. Obi-Wan has served Bail Organa during the Clone Wars. I'm just trying to find...
If he might have been there. I'm sure we might have our one commenter verify whether or not that was true or not.
Or many future commenters verify. They're going to come back.
No, they're not.
Yes, they are.
They're going to start episode 1 and then stop at episode 3 if I've learned anything.
No,
from how our views are distributed on YouTube.
They're going to be doing their commute to work, and they're just going to be listening to the new ones like, hey, I'm out of other shows to watch. Let's go watch some of the earlier episodes. And then they're going to come right back. And here they are. Future commenters and listeners. I keep saying viewers. This is an audio podcast.
You're just horrible.
Right now, I am not in it today.
You're not in it. So, yeah, I don't really buy that still because there isn't really any examples of them working.
They literally said it.
But whatever.
The first movie that was ever released, they acknowledged that.
But she wasn't around during that. That might have just been like Bail, like, oh, how do you know him? And it's like, oh, this.
She's done her research.
Not enough.
What do you mean?
To find out that her mom is like Padme Amidala and that her dad is
boo.
Anakin Skywalker.
That doesn't matter.
But going on from there, right? Partway through, Reva stabs the Grand Inquisitor. Grand Inquisitor's around. Stabs him. And he's gone for how many episodes? Like 5 episodes about?
No,
3.
No,
I was like 5.
No, he gets stabbed in episode 2. He comes back in episode 5.
Okay. All right. But
Bam.
No, it's like 4. He shows up right at the end of that.
Oh, I'm
but that had everybody worried. It's like, are they killing this guy who's supposed to show up in Rebels later?
It spoiled a lot of the show for me.
It was very weird.
What is going on? Are they retconning?
Right. It's like, are they retconning this like they did the Kanan Jarrus comic?
Yeah, like that'd be so weird.
Right? It was, but it's like, it's also like, well, we know he shouldn't be dead. You were worried they were going to reveal that he's not dead via tweet. At one point you said that.
Yeah, oh my gosh.
Which I agree would have sucked. It's like, oh, damage control, which is similar to what I consider with Picard, right? It's like, why doesn't Guinan know Picard? You know?
Oh, yeah.
Blah, 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 blah.
Yeah,
it's like, it's a different timeline, blah, 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 blah. It's like, that's damage control.
Yeah, like...
This would have been worse, probably.
5 times worse.
Because that's, like, directly overriding canon.
Yeah, it's like people are going to go through, like, the timeline of Star Wars. And people are like, what's going on? And then you have, like, oh, yeah, they tweeted about it in 2022.
Yeah, but... So that was weird. That was a little bit jarring throughout the whole series. Trying to think like, what's going on?
They just shouldn't have done it.
It was kind of iffy. Yeah. What'd you think of the other Inquisitors though? Because I think that's fifth brother.
who we see.
Then I don't know what the female Inquisitor was, what her designation was. She was okay.
Yeah.
I wish we saw more Inquisitors actually fighting Obi-Wan. I wish there was more of that.
I wish we could have seen them fly.
You wish you saw them fly. There was at one point when I think I yelled like, "Fly! Fly away! You have your lightsaber! You can do that!"
Imagine, that's how Reva would have defeated Darth Vader if she just flew and got an aerial attack.
I don't think that would have helped.
You don't think so?
No, I don't think so.
She would have lost stealth as if that really worked for her in the first place.
So for those that don't know, in Star Wars Rebels, you know how I don't know, do they show her ever spin the lightsaber in this show?
I don't think so. Oh, no, they do.
I can't. Oh yeah, they show the Grand Inquisitor spinning it, right? So if in Rebels they show them using that spinning lightsaber as pretty much a helicopter propeller to propel themselves up into the air and literally fly.
Which poses like 8 questions. Do you think I swear, can a non-force user use the lightsaber in that way?
Oh.
Because like maybe it's a force component as well. Like you have to use the force to like lift, kind of create an aerial thing.
Well, I was even just thinking, do you have to use the force to spin the blades, or if it's motor, right?
I bet it's a motor.
A motor in this blade made of light? I don't know. That's far-fetched.
Blade made of light. It's not the hilt.
That's
The hilt's
a
not
little
made of light. The hilt.
It's all dumb. It's all stupid. But that's why I love it. So there was that part. Where do we get into next? Then they leave about when he was in like in a drug den. Over that part. That was interesting.
What's her name was like? A lot of us have fathers, but they all left us, and now we're stuck here.
Oh,
and
that was his daughter. Yeah,
that was his daughter.
That was Ewan McGregor's daughter.
Yep.
So they really try to introduce that Obi-Wan right now is cut off from the Force. He's really Luke Skywalker-ing it, or he has been for a bit.
Mm-hmm.
He's been Last Jedi-ing it. I'm cut off. I don't want to connect. And then, but Obi-Wan, it almost feels like it wasn't like I forced myself to cut off. He's just kind of been really out of practice. So what is it like? It's been 10 years, I think they say. Yeah, because Leia's 10 years old. Which is interesting, because they're really trying to make it like he's not Alec Guinness Obi-Wan right now. He's very much out of practice. A lot of this is that he's trying to regain his mojo, a faith or a motivation of some kind, right? Mm-hmm. I think he's lost a lot of his motivation.
I think a lot of it kind of comes from Anakin and him failing him.
Okay.
And how that's kind of like, spoiler for the last episode, he kind of pulls all the rocks off of him, and he started thinking about Leia, and that kind of makes him feel like there's still more hope in the world. Mm-hmm. The future generation can fix these mistakes that I have made. Yeah. So I think that was where it all stemmed from. Maybe. His failure, and then he's kind of filled with hope.
Yeah, there's a bit of that. Trying to think of, they introduced the path, which seems like an underground railroad for Force users, any kind, not just Jedi.
Tala.
They introduced this character Tala,
who I totally thought was going to be a love interest at some point.
They definitely had this sort of friendship, right?
Yeah.
That if they continued on, I could have imagined that too.
Yeah.
But she blew herself up.
Yeah.
She heavied it.
Yep.
She did a heavy.
Yep. I don't know. Maybe like that's how you create like a Kenobi bloodline, is do like a character like that. If you ever do a season 2, just like Kenobi, this is your chance.
Or you say that Duchess Satine's nephew. You don't believe that?
No. The timeline does not match up necessarily.
Does it not? Are you sure?
Yeah.
All right.
Other episode of podcast about that.
There's some dismemberment in this show too.
I would say it's more brutal.
I liked the stormtrooper that falls off the gate and gets cut in half. I liked that.
But it's Disney. Why would they wouldn't do anything super violent?
I love also all the interaction between Obi-Wan and Leia.
It's all great.
That's like some of my favorite stuff in this show. Is just any interaction between them, especially when it's like her probing for like information, like my parents, my real parents.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, no. She's like, that's not true. That stuff's pretty good.
She does a good Carrie Fisher. She
was pretty good.
She's very much like in A New Hope, where she's like super stubborn, very confident. Even if she's like prisoner, she's like still not really listening to the guys.
Yeah, the whole thing really lends more weight to when in A New Hope, Luke Skywalker is like, I'm Luke Skywalker, I'm here to rescue you. I'm here with Ben Kenobi. And she's like, Ben Kenobi? Do you remember that?
Mm-hmm.
It puts more weight. It's like, the person that saved me, like those 10 years ago?
The person I'm going to name my child after?
Right. It also makes more sense why she names their kid Ben, too, right? That adds a lot more. Because it kind of seems where it's like, when it's about her naming her son after her brother's mentor that she didn't really know, right? Yeah, this makes it more sense.
People argue that how can the line in the Clone Wars, like as we just talked about, which is you served for my father during the Clone Wars.
I don't see it as any issue.
But then people have said that they fixed it because at the end of this they made it seem like, remember, we can't tell anyone that we know each other.
Okay. I don't think it matters either way. I think that's just an example of getting him back in the fight. It's like, this is an actual fight you were in, not just the time you saved me from being kidnapped or whatever. But this is the, like, hey, you fought in the war, we need you to do this again. Yep. A more direct example of what you were doing before. Yep. I don't see any issue with that sort of canon.
Yep, that's fine.
There was no... Yeah, even to me, it's like when she was more excited about Ben Kenobi and when Luke Skywalker finds her, I think it adds more to that. It's like, why else would she be so super hyped? Like, Ben Kenobi's here!
Yeah,
right?
I think it fits in the lore very well.
Yeah, I don't have any issue with that.
They just did a very, very jarring thing, so then they like correct it. And they're like, okay, why scare me? Why scare me by stabbing the Grand Inquisitor?
There was that. How do you feel about... I have one other point about Leia that I'm going to save up. But we could get into Darth Vader, right? Mm-hmm. Darth Vader is in this show, played by Hayden Christensen. He's back. They got him back because people like... The prequels are in now.
The prequels are back.
The generation that grew up with the prequels, they're grown up. They can voice their opinions now.
Older people still hate the prequels. But we love them.
But the people that like the prequels can voice their opinions now with almost equal weight. So it doesn't matter.
And now we hate the sequels, and eventually the sequel generation.
That's what we say. But we're not going to talk too much about that right now.
Then we have the pyramid scheme, and then there's going to be like the boomer generation, which hates.
Well, let's stop. Let's not get too much into this. Vader. Okay, so Vader. So they introduced him in episode 3, right? You get a bit of Vader's castle in this show, too.
Yeah.
You get a little bit of, like, one room, but it's like, this is him sitting there.
Yeah.
It's cool.
Yeah.
I always like seeing that. You see that. You see he straight up... They bring him in, and right off the bat, he's like, I'm angry, and I'm going to murder some people. I'm going to snap some people's necks in the middle of the street. How do you feel about that first battle in that duel between them in episode 3 when Obi-Wan's kind of like, they like see each other and Obi-Wan's like, nah, I'll see you later. Kind of ducks into like into the piles of dirt or whatever. Do you remember that?
Oh yeah.
He's running around and he gets spooked. He's like, ah! He takes out his lightsaber then. How do you feel about that whole thing?
Oh, that was funny.
I was watching it. I'm like, I don't know. I was trying to figure out.
I mean,
they really were trying to convince you that Obi-Wan is really out of practice right now. He's not connected to the Force really in any way. Like, he's not able to sense him even all that much to see, like, to predict when he's going to attack.
He's like Luke Skywalker during The Last Jedi.
But in The Last Jedi, even Luke was able to, like, oh, I need to use the Force. Here we go.
Yeah.
Projection. Force projection real fast.
Well, he did die from it.
That's true.
Supposedly.
But supposedly that was going to kill you probably anyways, though. But, or no, he didn't. It didn't kill him. He force ghosted.
Yeah, he did force ghost.
Force ghosted is not being killed.
No. As we know, Jedi cannot be killed in action. They can only go MIA.
They can only vanish.
They can only go missing in action.
When you vanish as a force ghost, your underwear are probably also there in your pile of clothes, right?
Who said they wear underwear?
You don't think Jedi wear underwear?
Why would it matter?
What do you mean? Under those robes, you don't think they wear any sort of... Maybe they wear, like, long underwear.
When was underwear invented?
What? Why does that matter?
Because this is, like, fantasy.
This is also a long time ago. So what do you...
Does anybody ever wear underwear in Star Wars?
What?
Have you ever seen a pair of underwear in Star Wars?
Clones wear underwear, right?
Do we
see Anakin in boxers at some point?
I think we see Luke in boxers when he was in the Bacta tank.
He was in like a diaper.
Yeah, that was it.
He was in like a...
There's no underwear in Star Wars, but there's diapers. Everybody just wears
Dooku wears like a nice set of pajamas when he's in bed.
Mm-hmm.
When he almost got assassinated that time. Yeah, I don't know. What was I saying?
Bam.
I totally forgot what I was saying. We're talking about Vader. How did you feel about his voice throughout the whole thing? Because this was all... Supposedly it was all, like, AI created using James Earl Jones stuff. James Earl Jones was not voicing it. Which... is this the first time he's not actively voicing it? Because when was his last appearance as Vader?
Rogue One.
Right. Did he voice him in... what was it?
Rebels?
Not in Rebels, in Fallen Order.
Oh, I have no idea.
Yeah, that's what I'm curious about. Because there was Twilight of the Apprentice before Rogue One?
I don't know. I think it must have been.
It might have been. I think it was.
I think it may have been maybe before The Force Awakens.
No, I don't think that's true.
I don't think so either, but I'm throwing that out there. I think there's a chance.
I don't think that's true.
Because that was, what, season 2 or 3?
Twilight of the Apprentice is the season 2 finale.
I think it could have been.
I don't remember.
Before The Force Awakens.
Vader's still like a force to be reckoned with. And this is like young Vader too, right?
Yeah.
This is if Hayden Christensen. This is just Hayden Christensen at his age. Now he's Darth Vader.
Yeah.
Isn't it right? And you really get his anger throughout the whole thing too. Mm-hmm. They really make sure to express that.
Yeah, he's an angry dad now. He doesn't know he's a dad.
He's very angry. They do in the final episode. They basically you get their final showdown, right? You talked about it before. And he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna kill you.
I'm gonna kill you. I'm gonna break the floor under you and get the high ground on you.
Yeah,
and look down at you from a hole."
Pretty much. And then we could also talk because Reva's whole thing was also actually that she wants to get revenge against Anakin, Darth Vader.
Mm-hmm.
That's how she knew that Vader's Anakin, and that drawing Obi-Wan out would also get Vader out, get him off his guard, or on his guard. I don't know. But Vader's pretty much like, I knew this whole plan. I am not dumb, which I thought was pretty good. You see a bit of him just wrecking Reva, which is what you would expect. You wouldn't expect her to stand a chance. Because it was pretty obvious, but in the first episode there was the little prologue bit of Order 66, and that she was one of the Padawans there. Yeah, that was a whole cool sequence. Yeah. And there we see the first live-action clone troopers. I saw the footage. They were live-action, full live-action armor and everything, which is pretty cool. That's a world first. If
you're wondering what we could have possibly have cut out from an earlier episode, it's because I said that there's live-action clone troopers before.
Yeah, so that's pretty cool. And then you also get Tamora Morrison as the clone veteran, which I like that. That was a fun bit.
501st member apparently.
Well, he's in
According to his
blue,
armor.
so you'd imagine. You're kind of forced to think that.
No clone army that we know of has taken more of a beating than the 501st.
Who knows?
Proof? The Umbara arc.
Umbara's pretty brutal. Well, I'm betting though that there were some clones that didn't have Jedi generals, and they probably got really beaten, right?
The ones that didn't make it.
We don't know what clones were on. What was the battle that Gregor was like lost in? What was that? battle?
I don't remember.
There was some battle that because that was supposedly like the most heavily casualties in the war, right?
Mm-hmm.
It was also whoever Krell was in charge of. It sounded like always had high casualties.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, Vader stabs Reva at the point.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know what happens to Reva though at the end of the show, do you?
Reva? I know what they're gonna do with Reva.
What?
I think she's gonna be trained by Obi-Wan Kenobi. And Obi-Wan
So
Kenobi.
we were worried that it was gonna be an Iden Versio syndrome, right?
Mm-hmm.
This did it okay.
This is far better.
This is far better than what they did with Iden Versio and a couple of characters in Squadrons.
I think we got to go back up a little bit. How did you feel about Reva?
I thought she was kind of cliche until they did the reveal that she's trying to kill Vader.
Mm-hmm.
She felt very mustache twirly villain. It's like, I'm gonna get you so I can be Grand Inquisitor. And they kind of tricked me, even though I still had, like from the start, I had those Iden Versio vibes.
Mm-hmm.
For people that don't know what we're talking about, Iden Versio was the main character in the Battlefront 2 campaign, which they marketed as this Imperial story. She's an Imperial heart, true. She had a book, a prequel book that she was pretty staunch Imperial, killing off or defeating the rest of Saw Gerrera's people. And she was an Imperial, and then not even halfway through the game, she defects.
Not even 3 missions in, she defects.
It was like crazy early. It's like, all right, she defects. It's like, okay. And there's some theories around that that's not what it was going to actually be, right? That they changed it. I'm not sure how true that is.
I believe
But
it.
now when I hear an Imperial, when I think of an Imperial that's going to defect, when it's like this person's like,
Whenever I hear about an
staunch
Imperial, if I ever hear about like, this is an Imperial officer and he's super evil, but we know what his name is. I'm like, oh,
Versio
snap.
syndrome.
Oh, snap. We're getting a Catalyst character.
Catalyst character?
Callus.
Oh, Callus. Callus does a bit of an Iden Versio.
But Callus, at least it's a little bit
That was an
later
arc.
on.
That was over like an arc, and you like see that progression towards it too. Iden Versio is pretty much instant. Like, you're gonna destroy my planet?
After there's a whole book that we both read about how Iden Versio is so in love with the Empire.
Right. It was very... Yeah, we're focusing too much on that now.
I think
that's what we But hopefully people understand now. That's what we're talking about with Reva. They didn't quite do that. They built it up. It was more that I was worried it was going to happen right away. That she was going to like try to stop Vader.
I mean, some Asajj Ventress vibes from Reva now.
Maybe a bit of that. Yeah, that might be a closer comparison. Right?
She's like such that... Because Asajj Ventress is also like that mustache massage.
Mustache.
I don't know what I'm saying. I'm happy you're taking over today.
Mustache twirling
Mustache
villain.
twirling villain who eventually does something snaps and it's like, you're no longer necessary, and then their masters just beat him up.
Yeah, Ventress had an interesting backstory too, right? She like lost every master she had, and then Dooku showed up and was like, dark side.
Yep. Reva, kind of similar.
Yeah.
Only will
that's true.
Reva be trained by Obi-Wan, which is what I think is going to
I
happen.
don't think so. I like the idea if she just goes out, if she does more of an Asajj Ventress stuff. She goes out on her own or whatever.
Mando season 3, she's going to show up.
What? That'd be crazy. No Mando in this show. 0.
What do you mean? Don't you remember those entire episodes dedicated to Mando?
Well, they did though, right? They just took like an episode or two. It's like, all right, Dinjarin's here, guys.
But they did that for like an April Fool's joke for like a Star Wars show. They just posted an episode of The Mandalorian.
It's been crazy. But no, we're talking about Vader. We're still on Vader. Yeah, we can talk about Vader. So Vader.
We can talk about Vader.
So we could talk about the main fight, right? I'm trying to think of stuff that's not the ending of the show to talk about first.
Mm-hmm.
Just having trouble with that. They mentioned Quinlan Voss at one point.
They do.
Which I was kind of wondering if we would see him. Speaking of Asajj Ventress, right?
Mm-hmm. But that's a book that could be retconned any day.
That's so sad.
It is sad.
It's so frustrating. But I mean, that was also written by Lucas's daughter, though, I think. So that would be a bit more crazy to retcon.
Okay. I don't know. I'm interested.
At least I think it was. I think the original arc was written by her.
It is canon until said otherwise.
Okay. What was I saying? Yeah, what else is there before the final episode? And my other point about Leia. How'd you think about... Because you really have those three main characters. What about, like, the other good guy characters?
Tala.
You have Tala.
She's likable.
She was alright, yeah.
Roken.
I liked her in the Inquisitorius episode. Mm-hmm. We could talk about that, too.
Raja.
Haja.
Haja. It's not Raja.
It's not Raja. That's Aladdin's tiger.
Come on.
Is Raja.
Raja. You mean Jasmine's tiger? Oh, my God.
Well, now you're the nerd.
I'm the nerd?
Yeah.
I had a childhood.
For knowing that that's a princess's tiger.
I'm sorry, I watched the movie.
Wow. But yeah, Haja, played by one of the Eternals. He was okay. He was a big... I liked when they introduced him and he's like, it's just obvious tricks that he's doing, like a magnet to pull a thing over to him. It's obviously on a remote to make the windows close, right?
It's a funny gimmick, for sure.
Yeah, it's funny. I enjoyed that, at least that was the second episode, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then he turns out to be, I want to kind of set my life straight. Then what was the guy, like really the leader of the path? What was his name?
Roken.
He was okay. I feel like he could have been more interesting. The real hero, though, was Wade.
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 They
fly in the spheres, and he's like, all right, let's go. And she just throws like a canister at him.
That was the worst episode in the whole show.
That was probably the weakest episode, but it wasn't even like a horrible episode.
No.
I liked the action mostly.
There's just some things that were just kind of jarring. It was just kind of we grab Leia, we leave.
It was a heist type thing, and not enough happened for what you would want in a 6-part series. Mm-hmm. They introduced the Jedi that were the Jedi corpses in like stasis, which was interesting because I've been watching Rebels. I'm kind of spot rewatching Rebels, mostly Inquisitor episodes, and I told you about this already, but there was the episode, I think it was the Old Masters, where the Grand Inquisitor lures Kanan and Ezra with the body of... the idea is that it's Luminar and Dooley. Jedi is alive, and she's being held somewhere, and the main characters go there and find out it's just her body. And it's in this sort of stasis container, which is kind of interesting now looking back at that. It's that they probably have all these bodies in order to pull traps like that. Because in that episode, Kanan was like, yeah, I sense her. Like, he was able to sense her even though it's just her body. Which is kind of interesting, right? It must have like some essence of her life and her midichlorians that give off that sort of force identification.
Yeah, that's good.
That must be why. I wish there was one in there, though, that was identifiable. Like if you saw Luminar and Dooley, I think that would have been like, oh, this is maybe from that, for people that know Rebels. But they didn't really... There's like one that we recognized, right?
Yeah.
From Lightsaber Lost, right?
Yeah. Well, he shows up a couple more times. Never.
Well, yeah, but that's when that's his episode, right? Yeah. I wish there was one or two that were more recognizable, like a Plo Koon or something.
a good old youngling, I think.
Wish Yaddle was there. That would have been like, whoa, Yaddle's dead. Right?
Mm-hmm.
I think that would have been crazy.
A little off topic, but do you think we're ever going to get a Star Wars show? Or just Jedi Academy, and it's Reva, Caleb Dune, and Grogu all in class together. Because now we're getting a bunch of cast, like a bunch of characters that are just like in.
Well, but Reva was a youngling. Caleb Doom, Caleb Doom was a Padawan by the time of Order 66.
Okay.
So was Cal Kestis, right?
Yeah.
They were Padawans versus she was a young.
You don't think they interact with each other that much? They still gotta be similar in age.
No. Would you interact with, if you're a junior in high school? Are you going to interact with a freshman at all?
I would say maybe it's more of a middle school thing, if you're thinking of it that way.
But even still, right?
I don't know.
No, you wouldn't.
Obviously,
I'm telling you, you're not
work,
going to
I guess,
interact
if you
with
wanna think
somebody
of it like
two
that.
classes below you.
But if it's the same age and like they're friends and they still hung
Not the
out.
same age. They're different. They're in different levels.
You don't think they're the same age?
No. They're close enough.
You don't think?
But I don't
Reva
think they had
in
Jedi
5
Temple
years
training together.
You don't think Reva in 5 years? Because I think Ezra in season 1, I think is 16. You don't think in 6 years Reva and Kanan are gonna be the same age?
I'm not saying that they're crazy different. They could have been. Reva could have been 14. Caleb Doom could have been 16 or whatever. Or it's probably going to be younger. Reva might have been 12 and Caleb Doom could have been 14. But when you're in school, when you're being trained, that's like 2 grades above you, you know? And they're not they don't want to interact with each other. They're definitely not in class together.
It's probably 1 grade lower.
No.
You interact.
No, it's like 2 or 3.
When you go
he has a Jedi with, he has a Jedi master. He's out on the front lines. She wasn't doing that.
You're thinking, that's because Kanan was the top of his class. He was the valedictorian.
He wasn't, though. He definitely was not.
No.
No.
Same thing with Cal Kestis. Cal Kestis was there too.
We don't know about Cal Kestis. What he was like in that time.
In the good old school days. This bit
Cal Kestis is probably pretty close to age with Kanan, though.
This bit went way longer than I thought it was gonna go. I thought you'd be like, okay, no, moving on.
No. But that whole Inquisitorius, that whole 4th episode, is pretty much like a mission out of Fallen Order, isn't it?
Yes.
Just straight up swimming into the place, going to rescue someone in the dungeons of the Inquisitorius, right? It was collapsing the tunnels with water onto enemies. Which
swimming through the same exact entrance.
I don't know if somebody, because
they must have been inspired.
It definitely felt. It must have been.
Obviously,
you would imagine inspired, but it's also like it could have also been that somebody was asking, "All right, where are the Inquisitors based?" They're like, "Here it is," and they just thought of the same exact thing, like swim in to the base, collapse some tunnels to fill them with water, and rescue Leia. And it just kind of lines up like that.
Yeah. The security guard watching on the camera is like, "This is happening again." When Cal Kestis does it.
No, Cal Kestis did it before.
Oh, he did.
I think so, because that's 5 years after.
Yeah, he did do it.
This
before.
is 10 years.
They're looking at Obi-Wan's like, he's collapsing. Like the water bridge is collapsed again. Imagine being the repairman for the Empire. Like,
well, you think
again?
Because they say in this show that they didn't put any that there's no real defenses, that there's no shields or anything. It's like even after Cal Kestis breaks in. That's interesting.
Yeah, I mean,
Inquisitors are pretty bold. You are a bold one, Inquisitors.
they had that one security checkpoint, Kenny.
They have that one checkpoint.
Where
those droids that move so slow and can only look in one direction.
I feel like Obi-Wan didn't do mind tricks enough.
Yeah, he didn't do any mind tricks.
I feel like there's a lot of times where you could just be like, mind trick,
right, especially in the 3rd episode when they're at the Imperial checkpoint. You think I would have thought immediately he was going to do a mind trick.
Obviously, he's a bit more disconnected at that point.
Right, exactly. And by the point he's connected, there's no point.
Yeah. There's no good time to.
Yeah.
He was too disheartened by that point.
Yeah. But the end of the show is really like, all right, I'm going to go train and become Alec Guinness Obi-Wan.
You say that? I think No.
Well, what else is he gonna do?
I told you. I think he's gonna go train Reva. I think Reva's gonna show back up
I
after
just
some
think that'd be boring.
good old Asajj Ventress bounty hunting time.
No, nah, I don't think he's about that.
I think
If he wanted to train new Jedi, he would go out and do that.
I think
I don't think he's doing that.
I think it's hard to imagine a season 2 of Obi-Wan Kenobi without Reva.
I don't know. But we can get into. Should we get into the finale then? I think we've covered pretty much everything. We could talk about what we didn't like.
think-
What didn't you like about this
I think it
show?
was a lot of points were just kind of. Well, some of the best writing in the show was just lazy and it's been done before. Honestly, obviously we talked about the going into the Imperial Fortress.
Right.
Then they did the Twilight Apprentice mask slash. I'm like,
So
they're doing
yeah,
this again.
the last because in the final duel between Obi-Wan and Vader, it was a cool duel overall.
It was.
There was a bit of janky CGI. I think the volume is a bit like you could see a bit of the limits of using their technology, the volume for filming this stuff. Some of the things that somehow also they felt close. They felt I don't know contained, but still empty somehow. It was a little janky, especially in that last planet.
Yeah.
With the I've got a million rocks and I'm gonna throw them at you, Vader.
I am Rey. I'm carrying a bunch of rocks.
Right. But I did like they did the Twilight Apprentice.
Yeah,
they
I'm like-
slash off part of his helmet, and it's like Ahsoka. It's Anakin's voice. Oh,
It's great. But I've already felt those emotions before, so I feel like
Right.
it didn't just hit as hard.
right.
If somebody who didn't watch Rebels, I'm sure it like sunk your heart.
Whoa.
But for me, I'm like,
I mean, this is Hayden Christensen versus Matt Lanter, obviously.
yeah, like I didn't like not feel anything. But it's like, dude, I could have felt so much more if you would have done it a different way.
Yeah, I don't know how you would have done it differently. It's just for me, it was even just that the slash is like across the same part of the helmet.
I thought of that too.
Like, wasn't even much different, right?
Yeah.
It's like, wow, this is just Twilight Apprentice.
I'm like, I don't know. I don't know. Nothing in this show, I think, absolutely took my breath away.
For me, it was the Leia stuff that was like, okay, that took my breath away.
Okay.
But I'm not sure if take breath away. But that was like, I like this. I like this a lot.
I did get chills. I feel like the whole, the whole where Obi-Wan was stuck under a bunch of rocks.
Mm-hmm.
I was really getting that sense of Spider-Man Homecoming when Spider-Man was like, "Come on, Spider-Man." Only was, "Come on,
There was
Obi-Wan."
a bit of that, right?
I really just felt that energy, which I feel like that just happens on a bunch of movies.
Yeah, there was a bit of that.
But I felt that.
No
And-
real mention of Yoda throughout the
great.
whole thing, right?
No, because Yoda's
Yoda
awful.
doesn't do anything. Have we talked about Yoda on the podcast?
I think we have.
about
say it again.
Yoda's really horrible. I haven't mentioned on here, but also a part of rewatching Rebels. Ezra, the character in there, has a forced video call. I called it with Yoda, and from that conversation, it almost felt like Yoda becomes a pacifist after the Clone Wars. He's like, maybe Jedi do not fight. But Ezra's like, well, we chose to fight, Yoda, because you screwed up this whole thing. You were the master, and you screwed this all up, and now you gave up. So now we have to fight. It's like, go to Malachor, you should, for no real reason.
Yeah, you're rewatching Clone Wars and
Rebels.
I'm rewatching Clone Wars. I have been for like the longest time.
Yoda sucks, dude. Because there was one point when Obi-Wan was getting a call, right? And it's like, oh, who's calling Obi-Wan? What'd you say?
I said like, oh, well, we know it's not gonna be Yoda.
He said, not Yoda. And I died. Like, obviously, because Yoda doesn't do anything. He just gave up. The most powerful force here. He's like, it's like, at least,
What
it's
if
like, Obi-Wan's like, yeah, I'll help defend the kid. And Bail Organa's like, yeah, I'll take this person. I'll start a rebellion. Organa's like one of the best people in Star Wars. And he's like, I'll go live on this swamp.
What if
Go
instead, what if
next to this cave that I guess might be important. I
what
don't
if
know.
instead of having a Mandalorian episode like a Mando, you just have a Yoda episode and he's just there in Dagobah just cooking some stew.
I hate him. I really dislike Yoda. Like, I'm so turned on him. I feel If I was Ahsoka, also watching Rebels, it's been like, if I was Ahsoka, I would hate Yoda. I would be pissed at Yoda. It's like, he basically abandoned her during her whole trial and whatnot. And then you learn that he's alive because you get a video call from him, pretty much. It's like, oh, you're not doing anything while I'm trying to lead this rebellion and fight in this rebellion? Wow, thanks. Thanks, Grandmaster of the Jedi Order. Yep. Wow.
This show did include our first lightsaber to lightsaber fight.
What do you mean?
Because obviously we've seen lightsaber combat before in live action Disney Plus show.
Oh, you're talking about Disney Plus show.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I forgot.
You didn't
that was kind
phrase
of an important
that
thing.
correctly.
No, I didn't.
Have we not? We got lightsaber on Beskar.
Beskar staff.
Yeah.
That happened 3 times?
Yeah, Gideon didn't fight Ahsoka at all. Yeah, that's true.
So, yeah.
Kind of interesting, yeah. I agree.
Yeah. Also, I think the actual battle itself was pretty cool. Darth Vader just walking away.
It's like, well, I collapsed those rocks on him, so that'll kill him.
What do you think the Star Destroyer did when they just saw like Obi-Wan's ship fly away? I'm just like, oh no, we know who won this fight. Like, should we send someone down there? Should we like?
I don't know. Because yeah, again, that was also the strange thing that Obi-Wan just kind of leaves him for maybe dead, when obviously we know Vader's not gonna die. I don't really get why he did that. Right.
I think he thought that Obi-Wan was dead.
Or no, I'm talking about Obi-Wan leaves Vader. After like basically crippling him again, right?
I just don't think he has the strength to go kill.
You think it's just, but then he expects Luke to. I guess maybe that's why he didn't tell Luke that Vader's his dad.
Yeah, I don't think Obi-Wan had the strength.
Well, I couldn't kill him, and he felt like a brother to me, so I'm just not going to tell Luke, so that maybe he can kill him without getting attached or whatever. That's kind of dark.
Yeah. We saw the Emperor in this show.
Saw the Emperor in
which I felt like it would have been weird if we didn't see him, but I didn't want to say it because I've had these super bold predictions, and I felt like that one would definitely been wrong.
Yeah, I don't know if we needed to, but I liked that he was included, that they got Ian McDiarmid. He didn't look quite right. It was definitely some weird hybrid of the Revenge of the Sith design versus, like...
Rise of Skywalker?
Not even Rise of Skywalker.
They just tried to do something a bit new.
Yeah,
you could use the same
different.
exact makeup, and it would work just as well, I think.
Yeah, I don't know. But obviously you know it's the Emperor.
Yeah.
What else was there in the finale? You see Obi-Wan meets Luke.
Luke, thinking he was attacked. He was getting
Wait,
attacked
what about
by
all the
Tusken
Uncle
Rangers.
Owen? Yeah, all the Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru trying to fend off Reva was kind of cool.
We literally just got done watching the last
That's
episode,
like the most they've ever done in Star Wars. Like, ever. They're like, let's fight this Inquisitor. And I like that.
I was so pumped. I was so pumped for just all that.
Because Aunt Beru has done like nothing in Star Wars. She's like had barely any lines.
Here she was. I think we should run. And then she just pulled out the safe and is like, I say we fight.
Let's fight. This is why we have guns. We got blasters here now.
Yeah, it was a good old time.
Yeah, you brought up like, why didn't they do that when the stormtroopers showed up?
Yeah, right. They just got burnt.
They were older though, and they weren't expecting it, right?
Yeah, they got surprised.
Yeah,
dude, they had to pull away the thing. They didn't have time for that. They were probably just showed up to the door and they'd be like, "What do you guys want?" And they just start blasting.
Bam, 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 bam. Yeah, it's true. So yeah, Obi-Wan, and then there was the reveal that I was wanting. Because they hyped it up throughout the whole series. He's like, Master, Qui-Gon, I need you. Where are you? Hyped it up so much. I did not think he was going to show up. And you were like, there's no way they get Liam Neeson as Qui-Gon.
Liam Neeson said he's not in it. So Liam Neeson's a liar.
Okay. So,
Liam Neeson's a liar.
And Benedict Cumberbatch said he wasn't Khan. So.
And also, Andrew
Garfield.
McGuire. Andrew McGuire.
You combined 2 Spider-Men into one.
I did.
You're losing it, dude. Yeah.
I'm done talking.
Okay, you're done. What was I saying now? Yeah, so they got Liam Neeson to come back to say like one line. It's like, I was always there, Obi-Wan. You just had to see me. So they're trying to say, so has he ever, over the course of 10 years, because the end of Revenge of the Sith, Yoda's like, I'll teach you how to communicate with Qui-Gon, because I was talking with him in those Clone Wars episodes, pretty much. Mm-hmm. Has Obi-Wan not been able to talk with him until now?
I guess so.
He's been like either so cut off or disheartened or whatever. That's kind of what I got too, yeah. Which is kind of surprising.
I think they say that, which is, why am I just seeing you now? It's like, I've been too heartbroken.
Yeah, I guess. He kind of had to forgive himself that it wasn't necessarily Obi-Wan's fault that Anakin turned to the dark side, right?
Yeah. The future and destiny for all of us is out of our hands.
Well, it's out of it's that you can't control other people's fate sometimes, right?
You could say that too.
It's not your own fate.
To quote him, the future will take care of itself.
So, yeah. Well, sure. But, yeah, it's not that Obi-Wan was able to control Anakin falling to the dark side. It was really Qui-Gon's fault for being stabbed by Darth Vader.
It's really Yoda's fault for sitting in a swamp and not really helping.
Not doing anything.
And not realizing that the Emperor is super powerful.
But yeah, I liked that he showed up. They really, I want more, but now they lead into, okay, Obi-Wan starts his real training now to become Alec Guinness Obi-Wan. Mm-hmm. I was hoping that was going to be more in this show. More of that. But, okay, if they do a season 2, for whatever reason.
I think they're doing a season 2. It's hard to imagine them not.
I'd like to see that. Because it was supposed to be Qui-Gon that teaches Obi-Wan how to become a Force ghost. That was the whole point of communicating with him.
I think you wait 3 years.
To do a next part?
Next season.
Wow. I mean, that's not too far off for like a streaming show.
No. It's a regular streaming show, but it's not going to be Mando where it happens every year.
Sure.
Or every other year or something like that.
Okay.
Let it sit.
Okay.
See how much the demand really is.
So, throughout this whole thing, okay? Mm-hmm. So, unless there was anything else you wanted to talk about, I have a sort of closing point and argument that I want to discuss.
I really don't. I think I said all my major things.
Do we want to we could give our scores right now, too.
Okay.
What do you say? What's your score for the show?
I'm giving it a 1.
Yeah, I'd give it a 1 too. Watch this show. If you like Star Wars. I liked how this show, going to the show, I was also interested whether or not this was going to be a sequel or a follow-up to Revenge of the Sith or a prequel to New Hope, right?
Yeah.
It's definitely more of a sequel or a follow-up to Revenge of the Sith,
yes.
isn't it? Which
I think
isn't bad or good in any way. It's just what I was wondering.
I think the prequels are like the major thing, and this is kind of like the love letter. Just the end.
Sure, yeah. Yeah, like a tribute to the prequels, almost. Yeah. So yeah, it's a total score of 3 in binary. My score is the most significant digit.
The last one. It's been a long time since we got a 3 on this podcast. a long time.
Has it been?
What? No, wait. No, we gave Multiverse of Madness a 3.
Probably. I'd imagine.
You gave it a 1, right?
Yeah, I think so.
I gave it a 1.
I thought you did, yeah.
So, never mind. Take it back. I feel like it's been longer.
So, my last point, okay? A lot of this... Leia, very big part of this story. A lot of interacting with Ben, right? With Obi-Wan. But the question popped into my head... whether or not Luke was the right one for Obi-Wan and Yoda, in addition, to decide that Luke will be the one to be trained then to become a Jedi. Mm-hmm. Maybe it should have been the one that was in power, right? Mm-hmm. That was like almost going to be actively taught to lead the rebellion, right? Mm-hmm. Is that a fair argument to make?
Of course, that's a fair argument, but I disagree. Wholeheartedly.
Why? I think, because it is now my opinion now that I think I've also slightly come to a realization or an opinion that I think Leia could have been the chosen one to a degree. In the same way that Obi-Wan in Rebels alludes that he believes Luke is the chosen one, or that Luke believes that Ben is the chosen one. I do think ultimately it's Anakin. So yeah, I think Leia could have been the chosen one.
I think that's a little...
She leads the rebellion.
It's pretty
Who else would
obvious
you like?
Anakin's the chosen one.
I know that, but I'm saying she could have been. She could have been like.
No.
I'm just saying she could have been. Imagine she's one of the heads of the Rebel Alliance, but she's also a Jedi.
No.
She's the head of the Resistance,
Well,
but she's
off,
also a Jedi.
I think.
Right.
I think she also just totally plays a different role. I don't think you can just swap what Luke Skywalker
I'm not
did for
saying
Leia.
swap. I'm saying addition to that.
Oh, addition. You train them
addition
both.
to it. Well, no, I'm not saying. I'm saying that Luke goes and does what, maybe lives a simple life or whatever, becomes a pilot. Who knows?
No. Like,
but I'm saying on top of Leia being a general and stuff, she's also a Jedi.
do you think Obi-Wan should have stayed with Princess Leia instead of going back to Tatooine?
That's what I'm wondering.
Because that's the question I feel like you're asking.
That's a part of it. I'm just even thinking like from the beginning, like he hangs out with Bail Organa or something, and Yoda be on Tatooine and do something, and maybe look out.
What is Yoda going to do on Tatooine?
Or maybe Yoda stays on Alderaan in like hiding, and she gets snuck off for secret Jedi lessons, right? I think either of those two could have worked.
No, you can't have... Yoda, honestly, has kind of got to go a bit far away. Same thing with Obi-Wan, but somebody's got to watch the kid, and it may as well be Obi-Wan, because he has more of a personal connection to that family.
Yeah. I think strategically, right? Making
let the boy
Leia...
die, and then you just train up the girl.
No, I'm not even saying that. What do you mean let her die? Or let Luke die? What would have happened to Luke?
Would you just not let anyone watch over Luke and just besides Uncle Owen Beru?
Owen, yeah. He did an alright job.
Oh, didn't they? They could have lost the boy.
When?
Reva literally had the blade.
Yeah, but that was because Obi-Wan wasn't protecting Leia in the first place. Maybe.
No, I think
you're getting too much into it. I'm not talking about specifics. I'm just saying, should Leia have been chosen instead of Luke to be a Jedi?
No,
because it's very obvious that Obi-Wan's like, we should start training Luke. It's like, why not Leia though? Supposedly, I don't think I've read it, but supposedly there was some canon material or some sort of material that was Yoda. I forget if it was when Luke goes to Dagobah or something. There's some point where Yoda's like, "Oh, why did you do this with Luke? We should have been doing it with Leia." I'm not sure I forget how canon that is, but I'm like, that's a fairly good point.
No. If we get a Star Wars What If series, please do not give us this. I hope they do that storyline, and then you see how much it wouldn't work.
Why? Why wouldn't it work?
It wouldn't work.
Why wouldn't it work? You're not giving me any reasons.
Because I don't think...
Outside of having to defend Luke, what's the downside of making Leia a Jedi?
Well, of course, she does end up being a Jedi. To correct you, she does end up being a Jedi.
Yeah, but I'm saying from the start. She's like... She meets with Ezra. Imagine Ezra and Leia, Jedi Knights, fighting together in the rebel cause.
Ezra's gone.
No, they met though when they were both however old. Right? They met. I watched that episode.
Yes, I know you've been watching that episode.
Imagine if they were both Jedi. If she was like, "Oh, I'm also a Jedi. Here's my lightsaber."
She doesn't need to use the Force to be an important role.
I know, but it could have made her even better at it, though. I agree with you that it's not like she was held back by that, but it could have added even more to her. She could have helped defend the Tana V4.
I think Leia really only has so much time in her day. She is just a kid. I think that learning from Bail Organa is more important to her at that point than learning how to be a Jedi.
But it's like Luke wasn't even trained all that much, at all before A New Hope, right?
No, but I think Luke definitely had a lot more drive and passion. I think Leia ultimately had other things that she had to do.
Leia had passion and drive to do the. You saw how much she liked Ben. You don't think she would have been like, "Oh, I want to be like you." You don't think that?
No, she didn't say that.
I think she would have been though.
She never said that.
I think if he offered her right there and then, "Do you want me to train you to be a Jedi?" She would have been like, "Yeah." 100%.
No, it's the.
What do you mean no?
No. You
What?
give it. No.
What? Because she was literally like,
Otherwise-
there was some point it's like, this is gonna be difficult.
No, because otherwise, in the original trilogy, why didn't Leia just like, hey, do you want to train me? To Luke. Why didn't Luke just train Princess Leia earlier?
Because they didn't know they were siblings
Doesn't matter.
and that she had the Force.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is unless she have the Force.
I mean, she does, because later she does Jedi training.
Yes, as we talked about earlier.
It's just that they weren't what's the word, fed or encouraged at all until like, we realize.
I don't think you put Princess Leia more at risk.
What makes that gives her that lets her defend herself though.
No. By having her unlock her Force that early, you put her in a more vulnerable position.
You think that because how much does she interact with Vader? Let's say.
Imagine if Vader took her. Like, this gets way more complicated than I thought.
I'm not talking about that. I'm talking like she's not a Jedi. I'm saying by A New Hope she's a Jedi. Okay.
Yes.
That's what I'm saying. The situation would be I would plan out if I was in the room with Obi-Wan, Yoda, and Bail Organa.
Yep.
She would be a Jedi by the point of A New Hope. She's been training for like 19 years or however long. At least 15 years of, maybe even just 10 years of training.
Yoda goes to Dagobah. That cannot change. Let's say.
Yoda goes to Dagobah, Obi-Wan goes to Luke, and I go to Leia. I'm the third Jedi in the room. I'm like, I'll train Leia because she's obviously going to be important. She's going to be like a political figure. She's going to be a part of this rebellion at some point, right? Because Bail Organa's not going to let the Empire walk over everyone. He's going to, he was in the meeting with Mon Mothma that was cut out of Revenge of the Sith about making the Rebel Alliance.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. Let's make her a Jedi. right off the bat.
Mm.
Yeah.
I disagree.
I don't know how you disagree.
Luke Skywalker needs to be basically the warrior figure, and then Princess Leia just has a different role. That was always the plan.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. You're talking from a storytelling perspective, right? I'm talking from a strategic perspective.
This is also strategic.
But it's not like they were even training Luke though all that time.
You had to choose one to train.
You
choose the boy.
Your parents got burned to death. Now let's train you. Here's a ball to shoot at you. Deflect those. That's what happened.
No, you had to train Luke.
What do you mean? Train Luke when he's already 19 years old?
Princess Leia's just...
Or however old he is in The New Hope?
Yeah. You train Luke.
When he's that old?
Yeah.
And then Yoda's like, no, he's too old.
Yoda's crazy. He's the eyeball. Don't consider him. I told you he's in Dagobah.
Right. And I'm on Alderaan. Training Princess Leia.
You're not there in the room. I don't remember you being in the movie.
I just don't see the point of not... There's the one point of it is that whether or not the Empire would be able to suss out that Leia's Force sensitive. But they don't, really.
Because she hasn't really tapped it yet.
You're saying that if she's trained, it's easier to sense that.
Kenny, their midichlorian levels are all like... They're all disclosed.
Oh my gosh, why don't the Empire do blood tests to see how many midichlorians people have? Or they probably do, right? And that's how they find out if somebody's Force sensitive.
Yeah, but it probably doesn't matter to them. Because if you just don't get trained, why does it matter?
Well, no, I'm sure they go after kids that are Force sensitive before they get trained, before there's any possibility of them becoming a Jedi. That's a big
kill
thing.
them? I don't think so.
Yeah, they do. There's literally a whole episode of Rebels about that.
But they were... I know what Rebels episode you're talking about, but that's because they were already flagged by the Jedi.
I don't think so.
Yeah, they got it from a Jedi holocron.
Not that one, though. I don't think so. They don't expressly say that. I just watched it, so I know.
I think it was from a Jedi holocron.
No, they don't say that in there. They just say... Ahsoka just knows that the Inquisitors make pickups, or they pick up stuff, that they retrieve things. Then they find out that they're babies and that they're Force sensitive.
Okay.
There's no mention of where they get the information from that I remember from watching it however long
I think
ago.
you should watch the Rebels recon on it. Flashback. Rebels Recon. Do you remember Rebels Recon?
But because that holocron was destroyed in Fallen Order.
Yeah, that one was.
Right. You're saying... Because you're talking about the crystal that Cad Bane steals.
I know you're thinking about... I know you think I'm thinking about that, but no, I'm thinking of...
What are you talking about then? There's no other one. There's those two.
I'm talking about the Rebels Recon. How else? Where else would you store that information?
The crystal.
The crystal?
The crystal was it. The crystal was it. That then you put in the holocron that Cad Bane had to kidnap Ahsoka to force Anakin to do.
Yes.
Right. That's how they had it.
Yes.
And those babies were babies. Those were babies from however long, from like 15 years ago. So those are 15-year-old babies at that point. Any babies the Jedi recorded those years ago were not babies by the point of Rebels, dude.
Is the Kyber crystal from...
It's not Kyber. It's a crystal.
The crystal from Fallen Order the same one that...
That's not a crystal. That's just a holocron.
You're driving me insane.
They don't mention a crystal.
Is the thing.
They just mentioned that Cordova has a holocron that on that planet. I forget what it was. Borgano? I forget what it was. In that temple, the Zepho temple that he stored there, and it has a list of Force-sensitive children or something like that, right? In Clone Wars, Cad Bane needs a holocron where there was a Rodian Jedi, I don't remember his name, that has a crystal, a data crystal, that contains the list of babies, such as the Gungan and so on, that he then steals, that he kidnaps. But in order to read that crystal, he needed a holocron from the Jedi Temple, which Darth Sidious sent him to get. Because Darth Sidious knew that he would need a holocron in order to read that crystal.
Okay. Does
that make sense?
I just watched the Clone Wars again. I do not think that's what happened.
That's what it was! I 100% know. Because he goes there and tortures the Rodian Jedi, because he kidnapped him to get the crystal, and then the droid's like, if we do more of this, it might kill him. And he says, "Are you a medical droid?" And it's like, "No, but," and it's like, "Shut up!" And then he kills him by accident because of the crystal. I don't know how you can argue.
Doesn't it just come from the Kyber crystal? Doesn't it just come from the block?
The block? No, he needed the crystal. He needed the crystal.
Doesn't it just come from the holocron?
No. That's how you read the data crystal, is with the holocron.
Okay. I'm just going to stop talking.
I don't know how you don't trust me.
No, Leia should not have been trained. No, stop. We're ending the episode. Thank you for listening to this episode.
No, hold on. You really don't think there would have been any advantage to Leia being a Jedi?
It's just not necessary.
By the time... What do you mean it's not necessary?
No.
She could have defended the Tantive... No. Imagine if she was like a Jedi. She could have fought Vader on the Tantive 4.
She would also get a lightsaber.
Yeah, she could have had a lightsaber.
Oh, yeah, she could have had a lightsaber.
Should Obi-Wan have given Leia Anakin's lightsaber?
Yes.
Right?
If you had... who would you choose?
Maybe you give it to Leia. It's both of their dads, right?
Where did Luke Skywalker get his green lightsaber? Did it Qui-Gon Jinn's? Did they also give him that one? Is there 2 lightsabers you could have given?
What? I don't know what you're saying anymore. I don't know what you're saying.
You know, like the fan theory that Qui-Gon Jinn's lightsaber is just Luke's lightsaber? And
I would believe that the crystal could have been.
You're saying you give one Kyber crystal, Qui-Gon Jinn's Kyber crystal to Luke, and you give Anakin Skywalker's lightsaber to Leia.
It doesn't matter. I'm not even saying that. I'm just saying Anakin was both Leia and Luke's dad, right? They
do not get equal treatment.
Wow. Wow.
Look, one gets money, one gets Jedi powers. That's how the deal works. That's how the deal works.
Wow. But she does get Jedi powers. Luke is like, wow.
Eventually, yes, she does.
But it's not even like Luke got him right away, or like Luke had him by the point of A New Hope.
I like you had to say our scores before this. Like, this is going to change it. This is going to change it.
I'm not going to say it was going to change it. I just knew that this would be a
you know what? You know what? I'm giving the show a 0.
I'm just saying that this was going to be a long argument, and it doesn't have too much to do with the show, actually. This is like a second. This could have been a whole other episode.
Rename the episode Obi-Wan Kenobi. Does Princess Leia... Was Princess Leia robbed?
It's not even that she was robbed. It's that it could have been so much more helpful if she was a Jedi.
If Bail Organa wanted her trained, he would say so. He would have spoke up in the table 3. You were not there.
I should have been there, though. I should have been. And been like, why don't we train the princess to be a Jedi? Like, right off the bat.
I like to imagine that you just walked in, and you're like, guys, this isn't going to work.
It's like, Yoda, what are you doing?
You think you're going to go on vacation?
You're going to go live on some swamp for 20 years? No.
They complain whenever somebody comes to you? Ezra? No, get out.
It's like, what? It's like, what? And then we're going to send one of them to you maybe one day, and you're going to be like, no, they're too old. Start training them right now.
Then have Yoda complain, no, there's another one that we should train.
It's like, well, maybe you should have trained that one.
No, I disagree.
You're nuts.
You're crazy. You're saying you're in the room.
I just don't see any negative to training Leia as a Jedi before New Hope.
She's not properly trained.
What?
Come on, Owen. He's got to be properly trained. When the time comes, he needs to be properly trained.
Right. Owen wasn't gonna let it, but maybe Bail Organa
just like her father.
I don't see your
I'm
point.
just quoting.
Yeah, you're
overthinking it. You're thinking that this is an actual point. No.
You don't think there would have been any advantage to her being a Jedi?
Because she's Organa, Kenny. She's an Organa. She's not a Skywalker. She doesn't need to be trained as a Jedi.
You don't think there would have? She doesn't need it, or
she doesn't.
She didn't need it. Obviously, would it have helped? Absolutely.
You're overcomplicating it.
I'm not.
She didn't need it.
I know. Would it have helped though? Would it have made it easier?
What does it matter? How much are you going to get the training to go if it would make things easier? What are you going to do? Train her as a full Jedi? That's a full-time commitment.
Right. Okay, so...
She has to...
What else was she doing?
She was too busy owning her cousins.
What? She was too busy dropping off starships for Ezra to steal.
Yeah.
That's what you're saying.
Yeah, she was too busy doing that and playing with Lola.
I don't think she had to be the one to do that, to be honest.
Lola, very cute droid. I want a toy.
Okay.
I don't want to buy the toy, but I want to see the toy out in the wild somewhere.
I just can't believe that you're not on board with this.
I can't believe
you're not on board that there's no advantage. I can't believe that you're saying there's no advantage to her being a Jedi.
There's no proof to me. Like, what,
just being a Jedi is not proof enough that to have an advantage.
Princess Leia and Luke Skywalker to be fighting Darth Vader side by side in like the throne room.
That would have been cool. Would that have been cool?
Boo, lame.
You don't think that would have been cool?
No.
Wow.
I mean, different world. What? Then she's not gonna marry Han Solo, or are they gonna be able to get married?
Still got married.
She's just gonna break the rule. She's gonna have emotional attachment.
Oh, you're saying that part. Well, they'd make I don't know. You're saying would she have had to follow the Jedi Order?
Yeah.
Well, she was already gonna train a Jedi she was already married, pretty much she was pretty much married or had a kid with Han Solo by the point she was training as a Jedi.
We don't really know.
We do know that.
But how much of training?
She was pregnant at least a year.
I'm not arguing that. But how far in the Force training did she really go? Obviously, we saw her doing some flips.
She was she was doing Jedi training, right?
But how far did it go? How long was she there?
What does that mean?
How long
does it matter, though? How far it goes?
Yes. She's only been trained for a month. That's very different than her being trained for 10 years.
But it's a matter of Luke's like, wait, no, you have a kid and a family and stuff. I can't train you versus... Oh, I'll train you up until this point, and then you have to decide. I don't know what you're saying.
No, because
I think Luke's either like yes or no at the start.
She asked him, "Do you want to be trained?" Yes. They get trained, but ultimately she had to choose between her family and being a Jedi. I think.
Well, no, she stopped because she thought
Luke laid down a blanket. On one side, she had a photo of Adam Driver. On the other side, it was Master Yoda's lightsaber.
Master Yoda. Why not just her lightsaber?
Her lightsaber.
She has a lightsaber.
Her lightsaber. It's like, you must choose one. If you choose...
You know, because
Adam
wasn't
Driver.
it cool? Because I do like parts of Rise of Skywalker. You know, and I like the stuff when it's Rey and Kylo, or Rey and Ben Solo confronting the Emperor. You don't think that could have been... There could have been a alternate version of the universe where instead of that, it was Leia and Luke facing down the Emperor?
I think that exists, but she just had a different role.
I mean, that exists.
She just...
You don't think that would have been cool, though?
She just didn't...
Because really, she has no real confrontation with, in really any of the movies, with Darth Vader's also your dad, Leia. There's
Yes.
nothing really about that. I think that's a bit of a missed opportunity.
That's a storytelling technique, I think, because obviously it's Luke's story and not Leia.
Obviously. Yeah, obviously. But I'm just saying that is a bit of a missed opportunity, right? That, because it affects her pretty much just as much as Luke in a lot of that sense.
Obi-Wan Season 2 is going to be a lot of Darth Vader like, I can't stand this child. And like they're being forced like being at a meeting for the Senate and Darth Vader's there and just Princess Leia's running around licking the floor. You'd be like, who's this kid? I don't like this girl. And they just both don't know that they're related.
So there's no way I can convince you that Leia would have an advantage, that it would have been an extra advantage to training Leia as a Jedi by the time of A New Hope.
Princess Leia reminds me of a kid that like would just have open M&Ms in her pocket and she'd just whip them out and just like, do you want some?
You're avoiding my question now.
Because I think we've had this conversation for way too long.
All right.
What? Wait.
There's no way. There's no way. There's no way I can convince you that training Leia as a Jedi by the time of A New Hope would have been an advantage for the side of good.
I don't think it would have mattered.
Not that it would have. Obviously, it didn't matter in the end. I'm saying would it have been an advantage? Because obviously you can get from point A to point B by walking, but what if you could take a car instead? That's what I'm saying.
You weren't in the room.
I'm not saying that. You're not. Was that analogy not make sense?
I get what you're talking about.
Right.
But but no, you're a crazy person.
You're crazy.
She doesn't need to use the Force. Stop.
That's what I'm saying. You don't need a car to get from point A to point B. But it's
Yes, you do. Sometimes you do. You can't handle that. She doesn't have the stamina. She has too many other things that she has to do. She doesn't have time to go do her daily Jedi training. She's too busy jumping off ship through Ezra's
All right,
steel.
I get it. I can't convince you. You had to say no to that. It's like, no, you can't convince me. I'm like, all right, you're dumb. But thanks for listening to this episode of the Faster Than Lightspeed podcast. Check us out on our website, fasterthanlightspeed.com, all one word, for episodes of this podcast, and to see how to listen to more episodes. In the meantime, this has been your Captain Kenny with my executive officer, Joey, and this has been the Faster Than Lightspeed podcast.